Welcome to our video about our experience with the British Isles cruise on the Regal Princess last June. This was our first cruise and we learned a lot, but most importantly, we learned that we love cruising and we particularly love the Princess Cruise Lines. We chose this itinerary because it had some personal connections for us, especially as it pertained to Scotland. But before we would begin, we wanted to ensure that we saw London for a few days. Highlights for us were Kensington Palace, Hyde Park, and the incredible Royal Albert Hall. There was so much more to do and such a little time to do it, but we did decide that we would squeeze in as much as we could. We found the best way to do this was the hop on, hop off, because we were able to fit in a lot of landmarks and a lot of special places that we wanted to check out in a short amount of time. We then made our way to Southampton so we could meet our ship. We used the ship transfer and it was incredibly seamless. Highly recommend. Boarding went so smooth and we quickly found ourselves on board and exploring our home for the next 12 days. The first place we landed was the Piazza. Beautiful, beautiful gathering place, entertainment, music, game shows, you name it. Just the central hub of the ship. Then we made our way to the upper deck to get ready for the sail away party, a pretty huge deal for Princess. And in case you are wondering, yes, the Regal Princess does play the Love Boat theme on its horn as it departs the port. So after a day at sea, we made our way to Cove, Ireland. We opted to do this on our own. So we arrived in Cove and we decided to take a train to Cork. It was lovely to visit both little towns. Very hilly, lots of churches. It was a beautiful day just to spend on our own. The next day we arrived in Dublin, Ireland. We arrived to the port of Dunleary, and as you can see by the sign, they pretty much have to tell everybody how to pronounce it. We had a guide who took us through on a bus tour who was so knowledgeable, and she knew all sorts of history and shared all of her knowledge with us. She was great. We ended up, our highlight was a beautiful place called Powers Court Estate in Wicklow. Highly recommend. We could have spent days there just looking at the landscape. The next day we were in Northern Ireland in Belfast. This was a stunning city. The architecture was amazing and it definitely deserves more than a day. We would go back just to spend a few days in Belfast. Now, the next day we arrived in Greenock, Scotland. Most people do go to Glasgow for the day, but for us, Greenock was the highlight due to some family connections. It was more beautiful than we have ever imagined or any pictures we have ever seen. Clearly, this will be another stop for us for another time for a week or more. The next day we found ourselves in Kirkwall, Scotland in the Orkney Islands. This was such a surprise because Kirkwall turned out to be the most amazing little quaint and charming town I think we were ever at. It was filled with all kinds of history, and one of the highlights was St. Magnus Cathedral, which was founded in 1137. It was amazing just to walk through and see some of the artifacts that are still remaining in the church today. On this day, we were really fortunate to see something called the blackening. So it's a pre-wedding tradition where friends and family kidnap the couple, and in this case it was the bride we got to see. They cover them in sticky substances like molasses and soot and eggs and flour, and then the couple is tied up, oftentimes to a lamp post, or in this case it was a cross at the church, and then they parade through the streets in a truck, sometimes for hours. Apparently the tradition comes from the fact that they're trying to bring good luck by warding off evil spirits.
She's going to be Mrs. Mackay. So the guys.
The next day we arrived in Invergordon for Inverness in Scotland. It was a lovely town. We opted to do this one on our own as well. So we basically walked around the city and looked at the scenery. The next day was supposed to be Edinburgh, Scotland, but unfortunately we had rough seas, and because it's a tender port, we couldn't make the stop. That'll have to happen another time. After a day at sea, we arrived in Le Havre, France. This was a lovely town that we decided to explore on our own. A lot of other passengers took excursions to Normandy or Paris. It was an option, but it really cuts into the day because of the travel time. We enjoyed this day very much. Lots of history here, and we were able to, of course, go and sit in a French cafe and enjoy a croissant. We then made our way back to Southampton, where the ship would dock for disembarkation. But before we leave, here's a few more videos and photos of the beautiful Regal Princess, including food and entertainment. This is an exclusive dining experience on the Regal Princess, where a curtain of light surrounds a private table for a limited number of guests, and they have a specially prepared tasting menu with wine pairings. There's a surcharge, but it looks absolutely stunning. We were amazed every night when the curtain came down. There's certainly no shortage of things to do while you're on board. One of the things we loved is that they brought in local entertainment from the region.
When the devil finished, Johnny said, well, you're pretty good on song, but you just sit down in that chair out there. Let me show you how it's done. Fire on the man to run, boys, run.
On the last sea day, they do something called the Baked Alaska Parade. And of course, that's the featured dessert that night. From comedians to jugglers to ventriloquists, there is no shortage of entertainment on the Regal Princess. Here's some last-minute looks before we left, and some of our favorite parts of the ship. time to pick up our luggage and start planning the next cruise. If you haven't heard of it, there's a great app called the Cruise Globe. It allows you to enter your cruises into it and keeps track of them for you. It shows the exact route that your ship took. In fact, you'll notice that we missed the Edinburgh stop in this one. Highly recommend. It's worth having a look.